Hello, I'm Drake Amendola.
I'm Phil Romano.
And you're listening to Here's Looking at You, Kid. Now, Phil, usually it's just us sitting here. We watch Yul Brynner movies. Well, we look at Yul Brynner movies. Of course, the sound is off.
Yes.
No captions.
It's a very thin premise for a podcast.
We just want to look at Yul. And today we have a special guest.
We do have a special guest. We have had guests in the past.
That's right. Carrie, my girlfriend, has been on.
Yes. Taylor, who sometimes listens to part of the podcast until we've mentioned.
Right. So bye, Taylor.
Yeah. And we have a guest today as well. We have Academy Award winner Rance Howard.
Ron, welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Thank you for coming. Now, usually we start asking about someone's history with Yul Brynner films.
Right.
Yours is pretty integral to your whole your journey kind of began with The Journey, the movie we're discussing today.
Well, we should begin the film.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're going to start the movie.
So if you're watching along...
3, 2, 1, play.
Great.
I actually finally watched the movie because maybe I saw it when I was 5 years old.
Right.
I don't know. I did it when I was 4. Came out when I was 5, but I've never really watched it. It would occasionally show up in the syndicated. And it was not a big hit movie. Sure. It was pretty well regarded, but it wasn't a big hit. And I went back and watched it like about 2 months ago. Oh. Good movie.
How's that?
Yeah, I enjoy.
I'm excited to watch it right now.
Yeah. I don't know if we're not going to get the full experience.
Right.
Okay, getting some information.
Takes place during the Austro-Hungarian conflict. Is it a war conflict?
So the movie was shot in 1958.
Right.
This is really a ripped from the headlines movie.
Yeah.
In 1956 was this brutal takeover of Hungary. And this was the Iron Curtain slamming down. And so Yul Brynner plays a Russian commander who's in charge of this border crossing. But in reality, the history of this moment of time was is incredibly powerful, very, very dramatic, and the whole world watched because the United States kind of let it happen.
As they've done before, and
they kind of let it happen, and so in Hungary, there's a sense of hurt around the fact that there was sort of a threshold moment where maybe the United States could have intervened in some way, and the West in general.
Yeah.
And they allowed the Soviet Union to continue its expansion with real brutality. Now, years later, I made one of their Dan Brown, Tom Hanks movies in Budapest, and it was really, really interesting because this was shot in Vienna.
Okay.
And of course, they couldn't have gone to Budapest at that time.
Right.
So now I'm in Budapest, and I'm talking to a lot of crew members whose parents and grandparents were around during this time, and just talked about how brutal it was and how many people were taken away to camps and imprisoned and questioned and tortured. And so it wasn't just a political thing. There I am.
Oh, taking a nap.
Taking a nap in the opening shot.
Yeah.
Now, so how much of this were you aware of at the time?
None. But what it had was a lot of cool tanks around and people with machine guns. And so for me, my introduction to the business, it was remarkable in as much as it was like stepping into another world. And meanwhile, I will say that Vienna, there was post World War II wreckage still very much in evidence. So everybody involved in this film, the war was only 17 years old when we were making this film, and so that's less time than 9/11. So it was very vivid in everybody's mind. I had no idea about that, but it was a fascinating experience. And in a second here, you're going to see my father. He was actually, I think, kind of in one of the opening shots of the movie. He plays one of the Russian guards.
Okay. And I was going to, am I correct to believe was this your family's first time traveling to
Europe. Yes. So here's the story. My dad was an actor. He and my mom met. By the way, I see you have our book, The Boys, that my brother
The Boys
and I wrote. I tell quite a bit about the journey, and a lot about my parents, their romance, which is kind of cool.
Their journey.
And and they're sort of running away to get married while they're acting in a children's theater troupe that's traveling the country and that sort of thing. So my dad started making a living really right off the farm, basically. Not a superstar living, but a living here in New York.
Working actor.
And then the Korean War happened, and he was about to be drafted. So instead of being drafted, he did what a lot of people did, which is enlist, which became a 4-year commitment, but you had a little more control over what your future might be.
Right.
And he managed to get into special services, which took him out of the business just as his career was starting to take off. And he always resented that a little bit. But it did give him sort of 4 years of this amazing experience where he directed a lot of theater and essentially was kind of entertaining the troops at the bases and things like that. So that was his life. He came out of that and went back to work and started getting work again. And what actors had to do in New York at that time was the thing called making the rounds, which was you walked from casting director to casting director and just showed up, hoping that they might have something. There may be an audition brewing for a play or a movie or a TV show. Live TV was a big thing here then. And my dad had been directing also in the summers a lot of theater, summer stock. And he had noticed that I had started picking up the dialogue and mimicking it. And so we had a scene from the play Mr. Roberts, which Henry Fonda and Jack Lemmon did the movie, but it had been an important, successful show. Sure. And my dad had toured in the touring company of it with Henry Fonda.
In the cast.
And so, but now he was directing it, and I was picking up on some of the dialogue, and he thought that was funny. So we did a scene between Henry Fonda and Jack Lemmon, only I played the Jack Lemmon part. And
3 years old?
3, yeah. And people thought it was adorable, and I actually remember doing it like in people's living rooms and stuff, just for fun. And I remember, the grown-ups are laughing at me in a good way. That's
nothing feels better than they're paying attention to me, and it's good attention.
That's right. It was great. So this is kind of a long story. However, it has everything to do with me being in this movie. What he was making the rounds, and he went into the MGM offices. This is an MGM movie, and knew the casting director, but it was swarming with kids, little kids, and so he couldn't get in to see the casting director. So he left a note. He said, trying to be kind of say something quippy so that casting director might remember him. He said, Rance Howard stopped by, curious if there's anything going on I'd be right for. By the way, I have a son who's a fine actor. So, and he left his number, of course, and they called and said, well, why don't you bring your son in? So I went in and I did the scene for Mr. Roberts. I don't remember this at all. And they liked that, and apparently they asked him, do you think he can do anything else? And my dad said, I really don't have any idea, but let's see. So they got some sides, and this is not a part with a lot of dialogue, but there was some dialogue in it. And we went in and did it, and apparently they liked that. I still have no memory of that. Then they said, well, we better do a screen test just to see how he reacts to cameras and crew and all that. He's only, I was still 3 this time. Yeah. And, okay, so now we're getting ready for this. And this part I do remember because in our apartment in Queens, my dad got his friend.
Queens represent?
Yeah, absolutely. To come over. And we put a bucket, my sand bucket pail, for the park, on a string, on a broomstick. And he held it over, and he would shake it while we were doing the lines so that I wouldn't look at it. And then my mom had a box of cereal or a shoebox or something that she was kind of pretending was a camera. So she was getting in my face. It was a little bit like Tiger Woods' dad yelling in his backswing when he was practicing. But this was just to get me to only look at the other actor and zone out all this other stuff and be in the scene. So I do remember that rehearsal, and I do remember just a little bit of the screen test, just a little. But I just remember not being nervous or anything, and I got a part. And they said, well, you'll bring you over, Rance. You can play a small part as well. And that way, Gene, and there I am, with Flip Marks, who's played my older brother.
Stylish outfit.
I've got I got a few pictures of that around the house. Yeah. Cheryl, my wife, likes that outfit.
Yeah.
So anyway, they felt like, wow, do we want our kid to be a kid actor?
Sure.
Probably not. But they'll pay your way over. They'll let me, Gene, my mom, go along as the guardian for Ronnie. Right. We'll put his money in the bank for start a college fund. And it's our only chance ever probably to go to Europe. I mean, we're broke. How would we ever get to Europe? And so they decided to take the leap. And the thing that I do remember, but that they recognized, was that I thought it was a hoot. I just thought it was a blast. And part of it was Yul Brynner.
Well, great, because he's the man we're here to talk about. Yes. So Yul Brynner obviously has this mystique around him. He's got that stern gaze. He's just got an air of mystery around him. In real life, we don't know much about his personal history. He kind of gave different answers as to where he was born, his history. Right. He's kind of an enigma. Mm-hmm. You might be able to shed some light on this.
I probably can't, because I've read the same accounts you have.
Sure.
His daughter did give me some great photographs that he took.
Oh.
Because he's a tremendous photographer.
Oh.
And
yes, he's got photography books, I believe.
Yes. In fact, get them and put them on, because, I mean, he was a real artist. And he sort of, he recorded, but they're not just snapshots. I mean, he's a really good photographer. And so they're really worth looking at. But so I don't know anything really, about him. But what I remember is not stern. What I remember is that there were about 7 different languages being spoken on that film by the crew. It was a very international crew, and actors as well. French, Spanish, German, Russian, English, all being spoken. He spoke every language. The script supervisor spoke every language.
Wow.
And I remember the two of them joking around, like changing languages on each other and kind of having fun with it. But Yul Brynner spoke all those languages. The thing that I remember the most is one scene, and I wrote about it in the book. So this is the scene I think you were wanting to talk about.
Yeah, we talked a bit before we recorded.
It's a scene where he gathers around all of these people who are being detained because they may or may not have the correct papers to have access out of. I think they're trying to get out of Hungary.
Sure.
But what they really are is they're really looking for Jason Robards, who is a spy, and he's trying to get out. They'd like to find him. And so they're detaining everybody. And so there's this scene around a table where he's basically introducing himself, and he's got vodka. And he's pouring himself shots and taking a couple of shots during the course of the scene and saying, this should be nothing. I'm sure it's no problem. But he's also intimidating everybody. And I was in the scene. Everybody, who was on that bus and who's going to be detained is sitting in this room. All these great actors, E.G. Marshall and Jason Robards, and it just goes, David Morley. It goes on and on. But he takes the shot, and then the second shot, he bites the glass. So, he's really a mofo. It's like, that's as badass a thing as you can do, is take a shot and eat the glass, right? And so he's just letting people know he's no soft touch. And he does that, and he must have seen my eyes just kind of bug out of my head, because as soon as we were over, he said, Ronnie, come over here. I remember sitting on his knee, right here. He says, this is sugar. This is not real glass. I want to taste this at home, taste it. And he made me lick it. And I remember licking it. Right now, as I'm telling you, I can vividly recall licking this little glass. Yeah. And he said, you would never bite glass. Never. this is a prop. He said it like 4 times just to make sure that it got through. And you know what? I've never eaten a shot glass. No,
that's good.
No,
yeah.
And never eat glass. Just eat pure sugar.
Well, you brought up the book, The Boys, your book with your brother Clint, which people can now buy in paperback and audiobook, hardcover.
Yes. HarperCollins.
HarperCollins.
Yeah.
Now, we refer to ourselves as the boys when we make this podcast. What I want to know is, you guys obviously had the name first. Is there room enough in this town for 4 of the boys?
So there's a whole TV show called The Boys.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, there's a lot of...
That's true.
None of us invented The Boys.
That's true.
So we can all share comfortably.
None of us can claim ownership.
Maybe I have to go out, go ask Amazon.
But it's what my mom used to call my brother and I.
Okay.
Bring the boys over here. It's time to eat.
Not to go back too much on topic, but did you stay in touch with Yul after this film?
No, never ever saw him again. You know, would admire him in movies. Thought Westworld was incredible, but do not think we ever crossed paths again. And which again, you know, I had really fond memories of him. It would have been a blast to see him. But I also remember him. You know, like we had this midway party. I think it was like halfway through the production, or it might have been a wrap party, and it was on the frickin' Danube. I mean, it was this cool thing, and just the way he kind of naturally held court, you know. But it was I never felt like he was strutting around, or you know. Now Deborah Carr stars in this, and of course this is after The King and I.
Yes.
So this was, I'm sure they were, as a studio, very disappointed that this wasn't a big blockbuster, because they had the reunion from the King and I, but a very different tone, obviously. Sure. I have really no memories of Deborah Carr. Not that she wasn't nice, I just didn't have any scenes with her, and you know, but Ann Jackson played my mom, and E.G. Marshall, great character actor, played my dad, and Eli Wallach, the famous character actor, was married to Ann Jackson, and he was around all the time because he wanted to hang out in Vienna. Also.
Now, at this age, did you recognize any of these people from films you'd seen?
No,
or was it just like, oh, here are these grown-ups, we're all having a laugh?
The only movie I'd ever seen at that point was a B-Western that my dad had been in, where he played a bad guy. He actually had to go AWOL from the Air Force for 2 weeks. He must have been a pretty good guy, because everybody just looked the other way. So he could go play the bad guy in this Western called Frontier Woman. And I remember going to the drive-in movie and seeing it. And seeing him get shot and sort of fall over the banister like they always do in the B-Westerns. Like, why would you get shot and fall forward
sure.
to go over the banister? But they always did, and so did he. After this movie wrapped, we did the thing, which was the reason that all my parents wanted to do the project, which was we got to see some of Europe. So I remember going to Venice. We went to Paris and went to London. And that's where I remember seeing my first real movie, which was in London, a big screen version, probably the Leicester Square Cinema, and it was Around the World in 80 Days. And I remember thinking that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that feels more like a movie that a 4-year-old would enjoy.
But I don't ever remember seeing The Journey even. I'm sure I must have. I'm sure we must have gone.
Sure.
Yeah.
So was it weird seeing a movie that neither you nor your father were in?
It was. I thought Around the World in 80 Days was the greatest. I think when we got home, I asked him if we could see it again. But right before we flew to make this movie, here's The Resistance. This is a good movie. It's a great director, Anatol Litvak. You know, he's an Oscar-winning director himself. And I remember him with his accent, and there were a lot of accents and a lot of languages being spoken, as I said. But right before we left to go do this, like literally, my birthday is March 1st. I think
that's my mom's birthday.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, my daughter Bryce is March 2nd. So we're
nice.
all bundled up there. But we went to see Little Abner on Broadway, which was a hit musical. There I am. And
very excited. So many ducks.
Well, look at
tanks.
The tanks,
Yeah.
ducks, tanks. They gave me these toys I could play with. I mean, it was a blast. The whole pretend thing was something I seemed to really understand. And
I think a lot of kids naturally get that.
Yeah, and that everybody was pretending.
Yeah.
Was kind of, and again, my dad was a great acting coach. You know, he never did it for other people, but he would have been incredible because he just knew how to simplify the real fundamentals of film acting. And so it wasn't just child performing; it was actually understanding the scene and being a part of it. Well, and that's the way I felt.
And in the story told, I feel like a big part of it that maybe is an issue sometimes with child actors is tuning out all the cameras and the lights and I think just having that be one of the fundamentals probably was a great.
I think from that early broomstick and string and a bucket.
You ever audition an actor and they're distracted and you're like, they wouldn't have cut it in my queen's apartment.
My dad would have taken care of this problem long before he got to this office.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it was also fun because this actor Flip Marks was a kid, a couple of years older than I was, and we were all around, and you can see I didn't have that much to do, so it was a pretty good experience.
Yeah.
Later, I directed Jason Robards. Jason Robards was already a renowned stage actor before he did this movie, and this movie says introducing Jason Robards Jr.
Sure.
Wow.
And so later I directed Jason in Parenthood, and I said, well, I guess we were both had our first movies together, which he remembered.
Yeah,
which tickled me.
This leads me to a question, which is on the internet, you have another movie listed uncredited prior to The Journey.
That's Frontier Woman.
Okay.
Because I was in it.
Okay, you were in it.
Well, they needed a baby to cry.
Oh, okay. So you're like a small baby in this film.
So I was 18 months old or something like that, and I guess So they gave me a toy tomahawk or something like that to play with, and then rolled the cameras and took it away, and that made me cry. The director got what he wanted, the son of a bitch.
Didn't give you credit for that. Wow.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't paid. I don't count it because there was no paycheck involved.
Yeah.
This is why people are striking.
But
rights for babies.
Rights for babies. We believe all babies should have rights.
So anyway, so those are kind of my memories of Yul Brynner, except that, of course, he was a very charismatic and constant presence. But I don't remember him as a somber guy. I remember him as gregarious, relaxed, and cool.
Sounds like life of the party, kind of.
Well, not that. Not like not like he's a performer.
Yeah.
But just relaxed.
Okay.
Think Clooney.
Okay.
I kind of think he was just really comfortable in his own skin,
Right. We often talk a lot about things that are tangentially related to what we're doing. Correct. And have a topic or a game. I do have a game I'd like to play. It's called Journey vs. Journey.
Are you a fan of rock and roll music and or classic science fiction novels?
I have appreciation for both, but not a deep well of knowledge.
That probably works.
I think that's the ideal.
Well, you brought up Around the World in 80 Days, based on a Jules Verne novel. Very related. This is I'm just going to say some titles, and you have to guess whether it is the title of a song by the classic rock band Journey or a chapter title from the classic novel Journey to the Center of the Earth by Jules Verne.
Okay.
We'll do a few of these. I mean, some are easy, some are hard. We'll start with an easy one. A Guide Found to the Center of the Earth.
That's a song. I know it is. I know they went for it. No?
So close. It's actually a chapter.
To me, I saw that movie and I kind of thought there was a thing where
you can get back on track.
I remember the movie, but I just remember rock and roll chords with it.
I mean, some of the chapter titles.
This might have been the scene I was talking about, by the way. Let's see if he eats a.
The shot glass.
See that wheelo?
I had one of those.
I had one of those.
Yeah.
I got to play with the wheel. See, there he is dealing with me.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is the shot glass scene or not, but I remember this.
Stamping.
Yeah.
I don't see any glasses on the table.
No, I don't think this is the shot glass scene. I think that comes up soon.
And this, I believe, is the first time we're seeing Yul in the picture.
Yes.
He did not get top billing. Deborah Kerr did.
She was a huge star globally, and probably a bigger star than Yul Brynner at that point.
Especially at this point. Well, this is still only a few years into Yul's career on film. He did a lot of them Fast and Furious. Like, he was in 8 movies his first 3 years.
Well, there were 7. He did 7 films in between 1959 and 1960, and that's 2 years.
But I'll tell you, one of my early memories is Taurus frickin' Bulba. I love that movie. That is a great Taurus Bulba. You got to see that.
I don't think we've seen that.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Oh, he plays
so we've been watching them in chronological order.
Uh-huh.
So I think this is our 6th or 7th.
With Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis,
great
actor.
Yeah.
Phil, what other journey?
Yeah, we'll go through something.
Yeah, let's go through
Vertical descent.
Vertical descent.
Some of these are a little trickier.
That could be tricky. I'm gonna game this one because I don't really know.
Sure.
And obviously, somebody would say vertical descent in Journey to the Center of the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
But could a songwriter also find that an interesting lyric? I think
so. It sounds like a cool song title.
I'm gonna go with a lyric or a title.
Unfortunately, that is also a chapter. It is also a chapter.
Damn. Right. See, the reality is I have no clue, guys. But let's keep playing.
That's fine. That's fine.
Well, so to follow vertical descent, we have After the Fall.
Well, that's a song. That's got to be a song.
That one is a song.
Okay. I actually thought maybe something happened.
Well, I could say so. After the fall.
Yeah.
Someone help fix his leg.
It sounds like a musical theater song, to be honest.
Yeah. A lot of. I wonder if there's a musical of.
See, they have a lot of slow camera moves to try to figure out who might be. They're setting up red herrings here.
Sure.
And does the viewer already have this information, or is it
pretty much, because you've seen Jason Robard sweating like a pig.
Right.
He's obviously he seems to be shot or something. Deborah Carr's looking after him, but I think what is going to happen here is there's a little chemistry between Yul Brynner and Deborah Carr.
Oh,
yeah.
Who would have thought?
Yeah. There's a little chemistry between those characters. This was a French guy who was kind of a ventriloquist. He was fun.
Oh, did he utilize that in the film?
He used to do it with me.
Utilize that?
Yes. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let me keep failing at this quiz.
Hey, you got the last one. City of Hope.
City of Hope.
City of Hope. That sounds like it could be both too.
It could be both. I'm going to go with the song.
I think song.
That is a song.
Okay.
Yeah. See, remember this. See how you could do this?
Oh, I see.
Oh, that is a terrifying toy.
Oh, I saw that and I was like, that's so much fun. That looks like
it was a little puppet. He could take the ball and hello.
There's what's it called? An automaton. Have you heard of this?
No,
it's a musical. It's like an electronic musical instrument. It kind of looks like that, but with a neck. It looks like a big music note, and you squeeze it, and it makes sound. It kind of similar to that. All right, a real challenge.
Okay.
Well said, Olmo. Canst thou work in the ground so fast?
Well, I'm gonna take a wild guess here.
Yeah.
And just say that's probably the book.
That is correct. Yeah. I was not super familiar with this book before I did all the research for this game, and some of these chapter titles have made me want to read this book. There are a lot of very fun ones.
We'll have to do a book club.
You guys got to. One thing just to mention is I'm just remembering watching this. The lights in this era for making a color movie were so hot and bright that all these people in all these coats were like sweating.
Oh.
Yeah.
And somebody joked around. I wrote a lot about sweat apparently in the book, The Boys, because that was my impression. Is people were just. I felt hot too, but because the lights were so much hotter than they are today.
Yeah.
Film speeds and now digital are just so much faster. They just require so much less light. And in these days it was just lined with bright lights, just burning, and then key lights too. And then it was a movie I acted in, American Graffiti, was like one of the ones that broke that rule. It went to these incredibly low light levels, like shockingly low, and it got nominated for a lot of awards, but one of them was cinematography because it was this bold experimental thing. So even though George Lucas was making a movie about teenagers, driving in cars, he was still breking cinematic boundaries and experiment.
Was it a different film process that was used that made that possible?
He used Super 16, so it would have a grainy look, because you had to blow it up to make it to 35. So that gave it a grain that no one else would thought was an idea that people really had. He thought it would be cool, and he was right. And he shot at these incredibly low light levels for naturalism because he wanted it to have a very organic, almost neo-realist kind of a feel,
right?
You know, and nobody had really dared to do that.
So you're saying this guy George Lucas was it? Kind of changed movie making.
Yeah, beginning even before he changed movie making. He was changing movie making before you really knew what was going on with him. He knew a thing or two.
Yeah,
even then, even at age 28.
Now, you, of course, started your journey in the journey as an actor, but you've gone on to direct, produce. You directed your first film in 1977.
Yes.
Now, Yul Brynner was still working around then. I noticed you didn't cast him. What was he just not right for any of the roles?
Something tells me Yul was not ready to star in Grand Theft Auto. Find that an interesting challenge for him.
Sure. Yeah.
Also, I think Yul liked money. We had none.
I say.
That's fair enough.
When I made that movie for Roger Corman, famous low-budget film producer, launched the careers of Peter Bogdanovich, Martin Scorsese, Francis Coppola, Jim Cameron after me, Jonathan Demme a little bit before me, Joe Dante, famous director, and I got to make my first movie for him. But the budgets were so tight that he took almost pleasure. It was almost like sadistic pride in how much everyone had to hustle. And I remember begging him for 25 more extras for this big crowd scene we were supposed to do at this Destruction Derby finale. And the movie was going along great, you know, and I said, we're ahead of schedule, we're ahead of, our budget's good. If we could just get 25 more extras, it would make a world of difference. He said, no. And I finally got very frustrated. I admired Roger, liked Roger, but I was getting upset. I said, why, really? I mean, this seems unreasonable to me. And he just put a hand on my shoulder, and he said, Ron, here's the thing. If you do a good job for me on this picture, you'll never have to work for me again. But you're going to have to do it with 50 extras, not 75. Sure. And that was it. So I don't think we could have. I don't think he ever would have paid for Yul Brynner. If we did, that movie cost $603,000. Yul would have gotten $575, and we would have been trying to make the movie for $28,000 somehow.
Yeah, get one extra in the background, just like wandering around.
One extra for the entire picture.
Exactly. Yeah, the same one.
So which movies have you guys watched and looked at so far?
So we watched Port of New York, The King and I, The Ten Commandments, which we had to split over three episodes.
Yeah.
Anastasia, the Brothers Karamazov.
I forgot about Anastasia.
Yeah.
And the Ten Commandments was that Cecil B. DeMille?
He produced it. He didn't direct it himself, I don't think.
He was pretty old.
He was pretty old, but he had directed another movie called The Ten Commandments, like 30 years before that.
That's what I'm thinking. It was a remake, so he produced it.
Same with this picture, I think, was also Cecil B. DeMille, right? Or is that the one we watched?
No, the last one.
Sorry, The Buccaneer.
I never saw that.
Cecil B. DeMille produced it.
Yeah.
And it was a remake of a movie he had directed.
Got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Look at this noir lighting.
Oh yeah, that's a cool shot.
The way the lighting looks, the colors in this movie are really, like, you would not get this kind of color in a movie today, even if you
it's really
tried
good
to recreate it.
And of course, it was a European crew, so this is interesting in that it doesn't really have a Hollywood look for the period. It has a more European look. It's a bigger budget and it's a little glossier than that sort of European neo-realism of the 50s. But it has more naturalism and the tones are different, a little darker, and it's beautifully made.
Now we do have one more game if you're down for it.
Okay.
This is yours or ours. We're gonna read the names of awards, and you have to tell us: did you win this award, or did this podcast win this award?
Okay, great. Yeah, great.
The Academy Award for Best Director.
I did win that. Yes.
That was you. Okay.
Did you guys win that also?
We didn't.
So it's not a tie.
It's not a tie.
Okay.
It's not both. Yes, correct. Okay. You got that one right. The Golden Globe Award for Best Actor in a Television Series, Musical, or Comedy.
Did I win? I don't think I won that. Did I win that?
According to Wikipedia,
you know what? Henry Winkler and I shared it one year.
Oh, okay.
That's what it was. Yes,
For Happy Days?
yes.
Okay. The Producers Guild of America Milestone Award.
You guys are too young for a Milestone Award, so I'm going to guess that's me and Brian Grazer.
That one was also you,
Yes.
yeah. The Saturn Award for Best Director.
Have you guys directed anything?
We have not really.
I think I probably got that one
too.
The Emmy Award for Outstanding Children's Animated Program.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That was you.
This is live action.
Yeah.
The Austin Film Festival Award for Extraordinary Contribution to Filmmaking.
Well, I think I might have seen you there that year.
What year was that?
I don't know, 2008 or something.
I think we missed that year.
No, yeah. I think I was in high school. I was
I guess
studying.
it's me then. I think it must be
That
me.
was you.
Michael Keaton flew in to give me that award, which made me very proud.
The Big Apple Best Podcaster Award.
That's me.
You are
I'm
100%
a dynamo.
Right. That is you. Presenting you this award for Best Podcaster.
Congratulations.
Why, thank you.
Pure gold.
Wow. I'm going to wear this with pride today.
Yes,
I have an important business
now,
lunch.
how does that stand up to some of these other awards you've won?
You know,
I noticed you're not walking around with your Academy Award.
No,
shirt.
I think the most recent one always just feels the best.
Exactly.
You know.
Well, congratulations.
So, thank you so much.
Relevancy
preserved.
Yeah. Well, I've got a question actually. So you're wearing the hat. I know you're on the board of Jacob Burns Film Center. It's a wonderful nonprofit movie theater education center in Pleasantville, New York. What is your favorite part of the marble installation in the lobby?
I just like that the popcorn's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, here it is, this kind of serious place, and you would think you wouldn't get good popcorn, but in fact, it's really good.
I do remember that actually. Yeah,
I've never been here, but I do choose movie theaters to go to based on how good the popcorn is. So I think I'm going to have to.
Good popcorn's a great experience overall.
Jacob Burns is a great place. Yeah. On a slightly serious note, what I love about it, because it's great for film enthusiasts. Mm-hmm. They do an array of movies from really accessible, current stuff, but they always keep great documentaries coming. They always have the kind of cutting edge independent movies, international documentaries, but they also have the education center that you were talking about. And this is so great, not just for kids, but they invite filmmakers from around the world to come and be fellows and interface with, and I keep telling people it's almost like a YMCA or a YWCA for media stuff. They have facilities where you can edit. It's I'm really proud to be a part of it. Oh, here we go.
There's some glasses on the table.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's a dinner
scene. Oh, it was
scene.
a dinner scene. See, I didn't remember it properly.
And that's what this podcast is all about.
Rekindling memories.
Yeah.
Now, I do feel like there's probably a decent chance this is a long scene where they talk before he bites the
I
ass.
have a feeling we gotta wait.
I was going to say, I've been to Jacob Burns several times. I think my strongest memory from it was I went to see Boyhood there, the Richard Linklater.
Oh, great movie.
And
Did he speak there? Was he there? Because they often have the filmmakers come and give talks.
I don't believe he was, but I'm forgetting his name. The boy of Boyhood was there.
Yeah.
And it was a very surreal thing to kind of either see this whole thing with him growing up over 12 years and then he just popped out of the screen. There he was.
I went to the first test screening for that movie in New York.
Wow.
And it was so packed that I was sitting in the front row all the way to the left. The best place to sit. But I still love the movie, so to enjoy it despite that circumstance. Yeah, great movie.
Yeah.
I wish Yul Brynner had been in that movie.
If only.
Then you
could
really
play
talk
the Ethan
about
Hawke role. Ethan Hawke's great, but
you've got a lot of movies to look at.
A lot.
We sure do.
And cover, and what is interesting about him is that, he was a guy who, he was a real artist, thought like an artist, comported himself like an artist, but he also was very commercial.
Yeah.
And movies were how he made money. And he also wanted to live a big, kind of European life. And he did. So he made all kinds of
fascinating.
All kinds of films.
Do you have a favorite Yul Brynner starring film?
Well, Westworld is so amazing. And of course so is Magnificent Seven. He's great in that. this Taurus Bulba is probably not a very good movie, but I just loved it. I loved it because he was kind of playing a Cossack, and as I recall, I've actually only seen it twice.
You'll have to watch it again when our episode comes out. You can listen along.
Definitely while you watch that movie.
That's right.
So this, as we've talked about, this is your first credited role, and you're credited as Ronnie Howard, which was your credit until about age 19, I believe.
Yeah, I think American Graffiti was the last thing that I was credited Ronnie Howard as.
Okay, and I was wondering what there is specific reason it changed, or just
I just was interested in. I just felt like Ronnie was a kid's name. And although people still call me that, including my wife Cheryl, you can, and Henry Winkler, they're the
sure.
So but very early on, by about age 10, I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker, and so a lot of it was a concern that I would somehow be sort of pigeonholed and trapped and typecast.
Want to be taken seriously.
Kind of appropriately,
Yeah.
And so I think I tried on American Graffiti. I tried to get them to. I'm just trying to see. He just took a shot. Is he going to bite the glass? Let's just see.
They do. People were.
What if my memory of this is completely
wrong?
No. And he never bites
doesn't break the glass.
And I put it in the book.
Edited version of The Boys.
Everything.
If that happens, we won't release this episode. We'll preserve the secret for you.
This could be a really valuable episode if that turns out to be true. He's taking a lot of shots here.
Yeah.
Well, you said you watched it a few months ago, right?
Yeah, but I didn't. To be honest, I just watched the first half hour.
Okay.
It's also always possible. Maybe they were watching the edits and they're like, you know what, we got to cut this out of the movie. It'll influence children to eat glass.
Stuff gets cut.
Now he's up. Is he leaving?
They heard you were talking to you. And
wait.
They're like, we can't let kids
maybe
think
he never bought.
okay.
God, maybe they cut out. Oh no, he's getting another bottle.
Another bottle.
There's also a lot of this
maybe
movie
he'll
left.
bite this glass.
Could come later on.
He's challenging her. This is actually.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
It's a really good scene, and I just.
Yeah, I bet there's some great dialogue here.
Yeah. Well, and people
you guys never indulge in the dialogue.
We can't. We only look at Yul.
We committed to this.
It's a very small premise, but we've gotta stick with it.
A big commitment.
But we do a lot of movie making is visuals. There are times where we have gotten lost in just the visuals of something.
Yeah.
And there have been times where we've forgotten to talk.
Well, I'll tell you, I advise filmmakers all the time when I speak at a class or something like that. I say, if you really want to think about cinema and understand it, find the scenes you really like, watch them with sound once or twice, and then watch it again with no sound.
Yeah.
And really understand what the director did, how they shot it, what the cinema of it was, because it's very revealing. So when I'm on an airplane, I often watch movies with no sound.
Yeah.
And just to sort of see, what they were doing.
And from a performance perspective, Yul is often, you're getting what he's laying down just from the picture.
The eyes.
Yeah. I'm just really praying that he in fact bites this glass. He looks like he might.
There's someone shooting up the windows.
I don't think so.
There's a lot of this movie left. If this happens after you leave, we'll let you know.
Yeah, we'll send you an email, let you know.
Because that's, I think, very possible that there.
I wonder if they cut it out.
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe it was just, they said nobody could bite glass.
Nobody could bite glass, and we don't want kids to think you can. So we should, we're all about influencing the children well.
Yeah, because I think that was the main audience for this was children.
Yeah, certainly.
If I can ask another unrelated to your question, almost exactly a year ago today, on Stephen Colbert, let's do like one or two, you had talked about how you had just officiated your daughter Paige's wedding.
Yeah, that's true.
Congratulations, Paige.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Paige. Happy anniversary.
And Tim.
And Tim. And you had kind of put a joking thing out to the audience saying, you still had your license. Have you officiated any more weddings since then?
No, but I keep thinking that the license still has value. The strike has got everyone paralyzed, and this might be a good moment.
True.
To just advertise the fact that I'm legit.
Yeah, you might need some work.
There you go.
A little something for the officiant.
Yeah, exactly.
Tip. I think a tip is customary.
You do the.
Did Paige and Tim give you a tip, or compensate for that?
Well, you're not supposed to. I don't think they did, because you're not. If you're officiating a wedding, you're not supposed to weep openly.
Oh, sure.
And not be able to get the words out.
Sure.
So I think they kind of we sort of needed a take two.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, that kind of leads to my part two of that, which is I have a friend. We both have a friend coming up who has a wedding, and I've been trying to convince her to let me officiate it. Yeah. I am ordained and everything. Oh. So that I have more of a case. Do you have any advice for officiating a wedding?
I would tell your friend, go for that. It's really great. It's because depending on the tone of it. In all honesty, it was a blast. I'm so grateful they allowed me to do it. My son Reed and his wife Ashley, when they got married, they asked my dad to officiate. And this was about a year before he passed away, but he was still very vital. I was so proud of all of them that they allowed this then sort of 87, 88-year-old guy to officiate the wedding. And he did a great job, and he made it really special. Yeah. When Bryce and her husband Seth were married, they had their best friend officiated, and it was great. So I'm a big advocate. I think
I like the personal practice. Touch. I think if I ever get married, it'll be the same.
So you hear that, Christine? I should do it.
Not Phil.
We'll talk. All right.
Well, we know you've got to get going,
probably
right?
get going.
So we'll stop here. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. We appreciate the stories.
And confirm for me that
we'll let you know
later.
We'll let you know.
I have a weird feeling that they may have. Maybe could be wild.
It could have been.
That would be crazy. We'll find out.
We'll see.
All right. Okay.
Thank you so much.